Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. We're doing a little sit-down talk. We're going to be talking a little bit about WWE Survivor Series 2018. The show's going to be coming up to you on Sunday. I can honestly tell you that this is the third Survivor Series that WWE has been doing SmackDown versus Raw. And I'll be quite honest, I'm not that hyped for this show. I'm not sure if it's just because of the fact that they only really did 2 weeks worth of build for Survivor Series this year. They had WWE Evolution, they had WWE Crown Jewel live from Saudi Arabia in the last couple of weeks. So, the WWE Network has been cracking with shows. Survivor Series seems like it came up out of the middle of nowhere. I can honestly tell you that by looking at the card, you can really tell that Monday Night Raw is lacking stars. Right now in WWE, you've got no Roman Reigns due to the fact that he is out with battling leukemia. John Cena is off making movies. I was kind of surprised that they didn't find a way to bring him in for this show. I'm guessing that more than likely John Cena appearances probably have to be booked well in advance, and they probably asked to use him on Crown Jewel. They ended up not using him. They should have turned around and said, if you're not going to do Crown Jewel, will you do Survivor Series for us? But I guess they weren't able to pull that off. Definitely WWE's most popular wrestler. I'm talking just like true popularity worldwide. You hand up like a little picture and you say, who is this and who is that? I think that Monday Night Raw has Ronda Rousey. Definitely off of her UFC fame. The best wrestler, in my opinion, probably in WWE would have to be Seth Rollins, involved in a match against Shinsuke Nakamura. But when you truly look at the Survivor Series matchups, the men's match, the women's match, and the tag match, man, can you really tell that WWE does not have any stars on the Monday Night Raw brand? Everybody is always talking about, the new WWE television deal that's going to be coming up sooner or later, that they need to make SmackDown better. They need to make SmackDown better. If this is not the best, clue that SmackDown is a better show than Monday Night Raw, I don't know what else there is out there. SmackDown, honestly, should kill Monday Night Raw on this Survivor Series show. I don't know if they just didn't do the Superstar Shakeup well enough, or if it's just injuries, but Monday Night Raw, I think, is the most viewed show, but that is honestly just due to, how long we've all been wrestling fans, and we've all just been beaten into us that we watch wrestling on Monday. They did change SmackDown to Tuesday. For a lot of people, it makes it easier. You watch wrestling Monday, you watch wrestling Tuesday. It's back-to-back nights. For somebody like me, I felt bogged down. You want me to watch 5 hours of wrestling in 2 nights? And on top of that, on a pay-per-view week, which for a while was every other week, you want me to watch 3 more hours? And then, I was already putting up my front of forget this, I'm not going to watch as much anymore. You bumped that pay-per-view up to 4. It doesn't really just make a whole lot of sense, in my opinion. I mean, Raw, they got a 3-hour show. When they did the Superstar Shakeup or the Raw Draft, whatever you want to call it, they got to pick 2 superstars for every 1 superstar that SmackDown took, because of the show being longer, and they wanted to be able to fill out the show. Here we are 2 years later, and SmackDown's killing them. I don't really know what to say, what it is, if it is just injuries or what it is. But to me, honestly, this pay-per-view, it does have a few geek matches that, I'm not really that excited about. When I sit down to watch this show on Sunday, more than likely I will be watching live, so I will have to watch everything. But the Authors of Pain, I really like these guys when they are in NXT, and I saw them wrestle on NXT TakeOver shows. I can honestly tell you I haven't seen a lot of these guys since moving up to the main roster. A lot of what I hear is that they've been on the main roster for about a year now, and nothing has really been defined of what their characters are, who they are. Are they just two badass dudes that wrestle, and that's just about it? We don't really get promo time or anything with them in the back. They're going to be going up against the SmackDown Tag Champs, the Bar, even with the Big Show battling with Cesaro and Sheamus. In my mind, I don't see how the Authors of Pain can lose this match, but I'm just mainly going to pick Sheamus and Cesaro because of the fact that I think that the years of service and the Authors of Pain being so new, I think the Bar is going to get the win when they come down to deciding who's going to win these matches. Just because of the fact that they got more time in, and it's an exhibition match. It's not like the titles are going to change hands. It's not like they're even going to care about the finish of this match in 2 weeks. We're going to go to the 5-on-5 Tag Team Survivor Series match. As far as I know, we do have the Raw team. The SmackDown team, we only have the Usos and the New Day. They're calling this a 10-man tag, but it looks like both teams are going to have 11 members. I'm hoping that they find a way to let all 3 members of the New Day as well as Lucha House Party all wrestle in the match. I can honestly tell you that I feel bad for the Revival. I feel bad for Bobby Roode and Chad Gable for having to be a part of this match. I think it is cool that Roode and Gable are getting a little bit of push. It would be really awesome if Roode was wrestling in the main event, the Monday Night Raw men's, or Raw versus SmackDown men's tag match. That honestly would make more sense to me. And Gable is somebody that should be getting a push to be getting that first mid-card championship. The one thing I keep thinking in the back of my mind when I want to hit the what the fuck button when we're talking about Chad Gable is the fact that you think about Prince AJ in TNA, about how they made AJ Styles from the best wrestler in the world to be the biggest goof that we had ever seen, messing around with Christian and Kurt Angle at the time, going back and forth and the whole thing with Karen. And I think that broke the shell on AJ Styles to get to the point where he was able to deliver promos better because he was able to let that funny side show. And through that, it made him a little bit more comfortable to deliver that dominant promo that he wasn't able to do in the past. But, we have to find out who's going to be on Team SmackDown. But as of right now, how does SmackDown not win this? I mean, they've got 2 teams, the New Day and the Usos. Quite possibly 2 of the best tag teams in WWE today. Neither of them are champions, so they can't wrestle in the champion versus champion match. But do you think Chad Gable and Bobby Roode, the Ascension, the B Team, the Revival, or Lucha House Party is going to beat either one of those teams? I just don't see it. We're going to go over to 205 Live. Cruiserweight champion Buddy Murphy, who won the belt of the Super Showdown, going to be putting the title on the line against Mustafa Ali. I can honestly tell you that I can't even remember the last time I watched 205 Live, so I can't even give you an honest pick of what's going to be going down in that. Flip over to the men's match. The Monday Night Raw team did fill it in with the members that I did think that they would. Bobby Lashley and Finn Balor. I feel bad for Kurt Angle. They're running some sort of thing with Angle that the match against McIntyre is going to be his last match. I don't know where that came from. It didn't seem like they had that stipulation on there, but no doubt in my mind that when it comes to WrestleMania time, I don't know how they're going to use Kurt Angle, but I'm pretty sure that Angle is going to wrestle at WrestleMania. It's not like they didn't really build that matchup enough for it to be his last match. So there's no way that that's going to happen. More than likely, they're getting ready to do some sort of a storyline with Angle and or Stephanie, using Baron Corbin probably too. So we'll see what pays off of that. We've got big time stipulation. If Braun Strowman's team gets the win for Monday Night Raw. He gets a shot at Brock Lesnar in the future. Honestly, in my opinion, I don't really know when they would be able to do this. It's not like they're going to be bringing Brock Lesnar in for the December pay-per-view, which, for years had been TLC. As far as I can think, we already did that pay-per-view, so I don't even know what the December pay-per-view is. But I don't see them using Brock versus Braun at that show, so more than likely maybe at the Royal Rumble, which should be at the Staples Center in LA, I'm pretty sure. We'll see what goes down with that. But I really don't even know how the Monday Night Raw team can win this match. You've got 5 dudes. Everybody hates each other. They've been running an angle because of the mixed matched the Facebook show. Balor and Lashley want to beat each other up. You've got Finn Balor, who wants to fight against McIntyre. He had to beat Ziggler to be able to be on the team. You've got Ziggler and you've got McIntyre that want to beat up Strowman. So the whole thing really makes no sense how this Monday Night Raw team comes to be. SmackDown, you do have, 2 heels on this team, and a debatable Shane McMahon being a 3rd heel. Will Shane turn on his team? But you've got Miz, you've got Samoa Joe. But when you look at the SmackDown team, they honestly look like 5 really good wrestlers, 4, and their owner's son, that are going to work together, that have one common goal is to win this match, and they're not really going to fight with each other to get there. So the men's match should be honestly really good. We've got the women's match, which just seems like it's a whole bunch of women thrown into there. I will tell you that due to the women invasion of Monday Night Raw, I am really hyped for this match more than I was. But the Monday Night Raw team, you've got Tamina, you've got Nia, looking like they're going to be the new SmackDown, or I'm sorry, the new Monday Night Raw Women's Tag Champs sooner than later. You've got Natalya, who's crying about, Ruby Riott, breaking her dad's sunglasses, and you've got Mickie James thrown in on the team mainly because she is Alexa Bliss's friend. When you look who they're going up against on the SmackDown brand, you've got Naomi, you've got Asuka. They were rumored to be going after those women's tag belts that never came to be at Evolution. Sort of been working as a team for a while. Carmella was the last one that was named to the team, and then we had Ruby Riott. When you got to be thinking about Ruby Riott, you got to be thinking that last spot might be going to Mandy Rose. Charlotte Flair, she was at the Invasion last night. She was pretty much hand in hand with Becky Lynch, which really sort of makes no sense at all. And you've got Lana, who is also a part of that skirmish. So I don't know how it's going to all work out, but if Charlotte's not about a part of this pay-per-view, I have no clue. But Charlotte is honestly, in my opinion, one of the best wrestlers in the women's division for WWE, and she should be a part of that team. But if she is, she's miles and miles better than anybody on, the SmackDown or the Raw team. It almost makes it to the point where it becomes unfair. Should get some sort of a good match between Rollins and Nakamura. No doubt in my mind that Dean Ambrose will be involved in that match some way. We've got Becky Lynch against Ronda Rousey. Becky Lynch was honestly one of the first people in WWE to lay a hand on Rousey. The point where she slapped the armbar on her twice, once in the ring, once backstage. First time that Rousey's actually had to show, a sense of pain. That match should be really, fire. That should be really, really good stuff. A whole lot of heat built up in that match where both of these competitors don't like each other. Becky Lynch is fighting to show that she is the best wrestler that there is in WWE, flat out the man. And then we're going to end this up with Brock Lesnar going up against AJ Styles to decide who is the main champion. So this should honestly be a really good show, even though there is a lot of stuff on here that seems like I don't really care about. But when it comes down to it, the Raw versus SmackDown matches and counting who gets more wins over the other shows, it's probably going to keep me entertained through the 4-hour spectacular. We'll see what goes down. It should be a good one. So we'll see what goes down with you guys. Peace out, everybody. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stephen Breach coming to you here today as we're sitting here talking about the upcoming WWE Survivor Series matchup. This one is going to be the mid-card champions going after each other. Shinsuke Nakamura going up against Seth Rollins. When Nakamura was going through NXT as the NXT champion, we all knew that there was going to come a day when he moved up to the main roster. And honestly, Seth Rollins was one of those guys that I think was looked at as a dream match for Nakamura to come in and have a match against. In my opinion, or in my memory, I guess you can say, this is probably the first time that these guys have ever had a match against each other. Nakamura has mostly been on the SmackDown brand since coming up, and Seth Rollins has always been a member of Monday Night Raw. So the draft has basically kept them, separated. I'm really excited for this. I do have question marks about this match. As of right now, there's 3 matches that have been named. You've got the WWE champion against the Universal champion. You've got the women's champions going up against each other, and you've got the United States champion going up against the Intercontinental champion. Definitely, in my mind, we had Dean Ambrose turn on the Shield. We had Dean Ambrose turn on Seth Rollins after Roman Reigns walked away. These guys still are the Monday Night Raw WWE Tag Champions. We have not had them, take the titles off of these guys. They've not really progressed this storyline yet. We don't really know where it's going. But Rollins is known as a fighting champion. I wouldn't be surprised to see him put the Intercontinental title on the line against Dean Ambrose, basically to prove to him that he's not an egomaniac that broke up the Shield the first time. And this is something that makes me think that Dean Ambrose turned on Rollins just so Rollins wouldn't turn on him again, much like when the Shield broke up the first time. And if Rollins puts the title against the line, he's holding up his name and his credibility as somebody could have it. And Ambrose could just come in and beat him. And Ambrose steals this match against Nakamura at the same time. I can honestly tell you if that's the way that they did go, Nakamura versus Ambrose doesn't really have the same feel to me. This is like a really special dream match that I think that might be the first time that we get to see. Ambrose versus Nakamura might be fun, but at the same time doesn't have that dream match feel to it. So we could have Ambrose just beat Rollins to become Intercontinental Champion, or we could have Ambrose cost Rollins the Intercontinental Championship in another match, and then we would be able to have Ambrose and Rollins free at Survivor Series either to take each other on, and although it would be a Monday Night Raw match, but it would be a lot like when they did Survivor Series 2 years ago and they had a Goldberg versus Brock. And it's just going to be a special attraction. This is the main storyline that's going on in WWE. Definitely people are going to be wanting to see this match happen. So we'll see what goes on with this one. If they were to take the Intercontinental title off them, that would free up them for something to do with the tag titles, or maybe Ambrose and Rollins would have to be a fun team where they don't like each other, but they have the team together. They could just take the titles off of them. They could put them in a tag title tournament. They could just put one match out there as like I know they decided the tag titles on like a tag team battle royal before, so the tag teams isn't the really biggest thing, or they could just do WCW. When Sting and the Giant were tag partners, they made them fight to find who was going to be the new tag champs. And then when they were new tag champs, I think Sting just started tagging with Kevin Nash until he got beat, and Sting and Kevin Nash were the tag champs. So maybe that's what they'll do. But then again, I don't really know who's going to be jumping up to team with Rollins and or Ambrose, even if they did, become the new sole champions, to pick a new partner to become tag champs with. So much to see. I know we didn't talk about Nakamura much, but this honestly is a really special dream match that I hope really does happen. It would be a really good match to go down for Survivor Series. If it was Nakamura versus Rollins, and I had to give you my prediction 2 weeks out, honestly, as of right now, I pick Rollins to get the win. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. We're talking about the Monday Night Raw versus SmackDown Survivor Series. This is going to be the men's match. Last night on Monday Night Raw, we got two of the final competitors for Team WWE. When I made a video last week, I basically talked about the fact that I was surprised that when they put up the pay-per-view picture on WWE.com, that they had two of the spots on the Raw team blacked out, because I honestly thought the spots were filled by Baron Corbin as well as Kurt Angle. I guess these guys were only fighting for the fact that, you know, who was going to be the team captain, I guess you can say. The guy that's in the corner. You know, Kurt Angle's been experiencing time off due to his vacation, where he did wrestle as a part of the Crown Jewel World Cup tournament, losing in the first round to Dolph Ziggler. That I thought that he was going to step up for Monday Night Raw a lot like last year and wrestle on the team. And Baron Corbin's not going to wrestle either. Those spots were filled by Bobby Lashley as well as Finn Balor. When I talked about the fact that if the spots weren't going to go to them, these are the two guys on the team that I really thought deserved to get them. I will tell you that when you look at the Monday Night Raw team, Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, Braun Strowman, Dolph Ziggler, and Finn Balor, this is a team of, let me steal it from Brian Alvarez, mid-card geeks. These are guys that are coming together to fight for Monday Night Raw that honestly, in my opinion, have no chance of getting along, let alone winning a match. There is going to have to be some sort of elimination where, you know, we see Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler turn on Braun Strowman to get their revenge from leaving their trio of just about a month ago, where these guys were fighting together until Roman Reigns left, and there was no longer a Shield for them to fight against, and Braun Strowman had a miraculous babyface turn to go up against Brock Lesnar at Crown Jewel. When we are looking at this, there is a major stipulation put on this match for Monday Night Raw. If Braun Strowman gets the win for the Monday Night Raw team, it's not really even discussed if he has to be the final survivor, but it just has to be that Monday Night Raw gets the win. So, yeah, okay, let me finish it. But if they do win, Braun Strowman gets a match for the WWE Championship against Dolph Ziggler. So, not against Dolph Ziggler. I'm trying to get to my point. Braun Strowman gets a championship match against Brock Lesnar. But what if it comes down to, you know, Dolph Ziggler getting the win for the Monday Night Raw team? Could it be that Dolph Ziggler pins Daniel Bryan for Monday Night Raw to get the win, and now Braun Strowman gets a championship shot against Brock Lesnar? It's almost like, you know, helping your opponent by making sure that your team gets the win, and that's the thing that doesn't really make sense for the Monday Night Raw team. When you look over at the SmackDown team, you've got Shane, you've got Rey Mysterio, Daniel Bryan, The Miz, and Samoa Joe. These are five guys that honestly, they might have their misunderstandings away from this match, but I think that they're going to work together, and I think they're going to gel to make sure everybody gets time to shine and is able to show off why they are a member of this team. SmackDown put together the best team, honestly, that they could on paper, while Monday Night Raw looks like they just sort of played spin the bottle in the locker room and pick five dudes to go out there. You know, when it comes down to it, I think that SmackDown easily has to get the win in this match. I think the Monday Night Raw has won the men's tag match the last 2 years. But there's no doubt in my mind that SmackDown put together the better team that's going to be able to get along. Mixed match challenge, you've had Bobby Lashley and Finn Balor. They've been feuding for the last few weeks. Then that's rolled over to Monday Night Raw for people to sort of see these guys fight each other and then want to watch the Mismatch Challenge after SmackDown on Tuesdays. And then the whole thing with Strowman, Ziggler, and McIntyre. It doesn't really make sense. I don't really know what they're going to do for a stipulation for SmackDown, but more than likely, I think Shane has to be the guy that has to get the win for his team. I don't know how hard they're going to be pushing the World Cup win where he is the best in the world, but I think they have to be pushing that more, and I'm really surprised that Shane isn't pulling the Owen Hart, where every time you see Shane, you are seeing the best in the world crown jewel trophy. I'm really not surprised that they're not playing that up to the fullest, but then again, when Braun Strowman won the world's greatest Royal Rumble, he was given a green championship belt that the second that the pay-per-view went off the air, we never saw again. Nor did we see the trophy that he was holding up to finish the show. So, to me, honestly, this is the match that most of the time I always look forward to on their Survivor Series. But to me, honestly, this year the men's tag match just kind of looks like filler to me. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today as we're sitting here talking about the women's 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series match that's going to pin Raw versus SmackDown. I already tore apart the Monday Night Raw men's team, and now it looks like we're going to have to look over at the women's team for Monday Night Raw as well. And Monday Night Raw just isn't putting stars together to build this show. It's really exposing them to the point where you can really tell that Ronda Rousey's probably going to have that WWE Women's Championship on Monday Night Raw for a long time, because they just don't have any competitors that you can put up against her that are going to mean anything. Monday Night Raw put together a team that was built by Alexa Bliss, that is consisting of Nia Jax, which is basically the team captain and the strongest performer that they have, teaming with Tamina Snuka, Ruby Riott, Natalya, and Mickie James. The one good thing is that basically there's going to be strength in numbers, that when Ruby Riott normally is around, the Riott Squad, followed by Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan, are not going to be far behind. So there's a good chance that this could become a 7-on-5 ordeal. Basically, when it comes down to it, you've got the Riott Squad fighting with Natalya. You've got the team of Nia Jax and Tamina Snuka, who look like they're going to be building up for some sort of a women's tag team championship run sooner than later, if those belts ever come to be. Who wanted to bully everybody on Monday Night Raw last night by basically wanting to beat up Bayley and Sasha Banks. The two best competitors on the Monday Night Raw team are not on the freaking Monday Night Raw women's team, which really makes no sense at all, other than they're just playing up a storyline that Alexa Bliss doesn't like them, so she's not going to use them. Where if you flip the dial and you look at SmackDown, SmackDown invaded Raw and beat down this women's team, which had basically Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair holding hands and skipping down to the ring to want to beat up Monday Night Raw, to show that brand unity means more than them wanting to beat each other up at the Evolution show and them turning on each other at SummerSlam. They're able to put everything that's between them behind them to show that the SmackDown brand is stronger than anything else. So those two, maybe it's because the Monday Night Raw writers have these writers and the SmackDown writers have these writers, that basically they led up to Survivor Series, building up their teams in different ways. But SmackDown does have one more open spot. How if it is not filled by Charlotte Flair, I have no clue. There is a good shot that Sonya Deville could have her team partner Amber Rose fill in, or Mandy Rose. Amber Rose is a rapper, isn't she? I don't even know how the hell I knew that name. But Mandy Rose wants to fill that spot. This team is basically led by Asuka, Naomi, who's got some big wins throughout the year, but not a championship win, and then also Carmella, who faded into obscurity since losing the Women's Championship quite a few months ago. So I'm not really hyped over this match, honestly. I would love to see the competitors that aren't in this match maybe find a way to come down, and you just have like Charlotte, Bayley, and Sasha Banks take this match over and and basically just beat down everybody on their own. Maybe become the free agent team or something like that. But as of right now, the 9 competitors in this match are probably 9 of the weakest competitors they have on the whole women's roster. And I just really have no clue what they're doing. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. Last night, WWE Monday Night Raw threw a whole can of gasoline on the Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch feud. I honestly thought this was just going to be a sort of a match, sort of tucked in near the end of the pay-per-view. One of the matches that they really did sort of build up, but I really wasn't expecting a whole bunch. And now you've got people actually out there debating whether if Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey is going to main event Survivor Series. In my opinion, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the men's match main evented Survivor Series, but there's also a good chance that AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar would be a good possible main event into the show. But it is going to be fun to debate. If there was ever going to be a women's match that main evented a pay-per-view in 2018, it has to be Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey. I know that there's a lot of debate out there. You know, the rumor's been out there since WrestleMania 34 that Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey would be your main event match for WrestleMania 35. But here we are in November, going into Thanksgiving time. Royal Rumble's right up around the corner, and Becky Lynch, you know, since that whole ordeal with people debating who the babyface was after the Charlotte and Becky Lynch feud started, Becky Lynch, quite possibly the biggest badass in WWE. There was people out there, you know, basically wondering if Becky Lynch can turn into the new Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I straight up laughed. Like, there's no way in the world. People might like Becky Lynch, people might care about her, but there's no way in the world that she's going to turn into the biggest world anti-hero that the fans just love. But right now, she's killing it. And I think that, honestly, Becky Lynch could go into Survivor Series, lose this match, and still come out a hero on the SmackDown brand that people are just loving. I know that people are a little bit mixed up. They don't know whether to boo the Woo or to boo Becky. But I think, honestly, it's just the point right now where you just pick a side. And wherever you want to land is wherever you want to land. I thought that Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey was definitely the biggest women's match that they could put on at WrestleMania 35. But right now, I'd be glad to debate you. I don't have the most faith in the world for WWE to be able to keep Ronda Rousey hot from right now all the way until WrestleMania. But, you know, if they have a goal in mind, they'll find a way to be able to get him there. But what a time it is to be a wrestling fan and be cheering on Becky Lynch. She came down, you know, with, well, I guess she started the invasion by going in and just flat out taking out Ronda Rousey face to face, strapping her in the armbar, and then you have the SmackDown brand run down and run ruckshot over the entire Monday Night Raw women's roster. You still have one more spot to fill. In my mind, I don't understand why Charlotte is a part of the invasion if she's not going to be a part of the match. But then again, Mandy Rose was there. We also had Lana there. They're both a part of the SmackDown brand. So I don't know why you would want to, but maybe one of those women get on the team and Charlotte sits this one out. They got to have a plan for something. And honestly, I know that they had the big main event match at Evolution. Well, no, it wasn't the main event match because Ronda Rousey versus Nikki Bella was for some freaking reason. But, you know, once this is all said and done, Charlotte versus Becky Lynch has to be on the plate sooner than later in some sort of a big match, because I think that's what people really want to see. It's not like we want to see Becky Lynch versus Naomi or Becky Lynch versus Carmella. Those aren't big money matches that people are going to be wanting to see. But this match right here, I think, is going to be one for the ages. Quite possibly could be one of the most real wrestling matches that Ronda Rousey has in WWE, and we're able to actually see how she is as a competitor in a wrestling ring, and I think that's one of the reasons why they picked this match to have at Survivor Series. I can't wait for it. I bet you guys are sitting there too. I got my money on Rousey, but I'll tell you the truth that I'll be cheering for Becky Lynch at the pay-per-view. I think the WWE Championship match where you have the WWE Universal Champion going up against the WWE Champion at Survivor Series is beyond the point of lit. I think this is one of the best matches that you could possibly do in WWE. I just made a video reviewing over Crown Jewel, basically saying that WWE has booked itself into a corner again. I understand that when the WWE Universal Championship is wrapped around the waist of Brock Lesnar, WWE feels that they have the best champion in the world because of Brock Lesnar's UFC ties and just him being a real big badass and a major star. To me, honestly, when Brock Lesnar is champion, it is one of the most boring times in WWE. You have Monday Night Raws where the champion is not there. It makes the show not feel as big. It makes it feel like nothing's really going to happen. You have matches going down, but what do the matches really mean? He watered down Seth Rollins' run with the Money in the Bank briefcase because the fact that you have a briefcase, but you never have anybody to cash in on, and he's just gone for months at a time. I understand that with Brock's deal, Brock's more than likely not going to be around for a long time, but he's going to wrestle at Survivor Series in an exhibition match. The championship's not on the line. There is no Money in the Bank in play, so there's no chance of him losing the title. And then after that, what is the plan for Brock Lesnar? If he's going to be going into camp and he's going to be getting ready for a fight in January in UFC to fight Daniel Cormier, is he even going to be able to be there for the Royal Rumble? Is he going to want to take bumps at the Royal Rumble? Is he going to be wanting to have a match? Is he going to be ready enough to have a match at WrestleMania? When is the next time we are going to see our champion? I know that anything really could happen, but when it comes down to Brock Lesnar, I don't really see them having him have a match on Monday Night Raw. And so I think that it's locked in that Brock is going to be the guy at Survivor Series. I don't think there's any way you get the championship off of him. AJ is a guy that, he will put the title up on SmackDown. And SmackDown, although they don't do title changes a lot, they did a title change right before last year's Survivor Series, taking Jinder Mahal out of the match, replacing him with AJ Styles, a little bit due to, the fanfare and a little bit because of Jinder Mahal is Jinder Mahal. And they wanted to have a little bit of buzz before the show. But, that match was really, really good. I can remember watching the Survivor Series last year just like it was yesterday. I do remember that I had to watch it on tape delay because of the fact I had to take my car to the lot because it blew a hose or something like that. So I remember watching the first match of the night and then having to come back and basically recap watching the rest of the show and finishing later after everybody and just still having that high of just like, man, how good was Brock versus AJ. AJ was able to bring a new style to fighting Brock. We've never really seen anybody take the high impact sort of the high risk, I guess you can say. Most people let the fight come to them when it comes to Brock Lesnar because he's most of the time fighting bigger guys. And AJ not really being smaller, but not really having the girth and the strength behind, punching Brock Lesnar in the face, was, coming off the top ropes, giving him drop kicks to the head, things like that. That makes it really fun. So, no doubt in my mind, Brock is going to win this match. I know that it is kind of weird because the second year in a row we have the same match that's going to have the same finish. AJ is a great wrestler, but I don't see them having AJ Styles beat Brock Lesnar.